What's up, everybody? It's that time in the season again, about halfway between the start of the season and the midway point with the Reloaded update, that I do a loadout video as well as soon to come top long range option video, as well as a close range or SMG, because we don't promote the use of shotgun video. It's about that time that I start doing these videos again at this point in the season. So let's go ahead and get into it. There's going to be a few changes. Instead of doing, multiple sniper classes, I dropped one. I made another special, I made another LMG class. I did another special class like I have been doing. I did an Iron Trials class, a Solos class. So I did a different one of those, like I'm trying to mix up every time, because those haven't really changed, the other special classes I had. But instead of blabbering on, let's go ahead and just get into my top 10 loadouts right now. Okay, and as usual, we're going to start with the comeback loadout. I'm not going to go over this too much because I've gone over it so much in the past, but it's the ground once again, just because the iron sights are so clean that you don't need an optic attachment and you can put on fully loaded instead. As usual, we have the monolithic suppressor, the Archangel barrel, which is the longest barrel and gives you those clean iron sights, the Commando foregrip, and the 60 round mag. Nothing really changed here since this is your comeback loadout. You need all those other attachments and you need the fully loaded perk. Otherwise, there's no point in getting a comeback loadout, and you might as well just get any ghost loadout. And then, once again, we have the Psychov. You could put this in for a different gun like the M19 or the AMP, which also have good time to kills. The AMP has an incredibly fast sprint to fire time, but you can't do the fully loaded perk on the AMP, and the M19 is only good when you dual wield, so you can't have the fully loaded perks. That's why I continue to stick with Psychov. But it's the same Psychov build: monolithic suppressor, auto barrel, tac laser, 80 round drum, fully loaded. And perks are up to you. Obviously, it's comeback, so we're going to do Ghost here. There's no point in doing a comeback loadout if you're not doing Ghost. If you want to do Overkill, I would just recommend one of the Mono Warfare SMGs, either the MP5, the MP7, or if you don't mind the slower movement, the AUG, maybe the CX9. And as long as you can still put a fully loaded perk on there, it's good for comebacks, so that way you don't have to go looking for ammo. And then Lethal and Tactical are up to you. Semtex, Thermite, Throwing Knife, or Heartbeat Sensor, or Stun, and if you want to be a little bit different, maybe Gas Grenade. And, perks, like I said, up to you. I've been going back and forth. I might switch to Double Time, but I've been running EOD, and then I've gone back to Amped. I really only am going to use Combat Scout for Iron Trials mode, but otherwise I've switched back to Amp. Here, you could probably sacrifice that because you're switching to a pistol, and Amped isn't going to help you that much. It will only help you when you're switching back to the Growl. So, like I said, I dropped a sniper class, so now we start right at hybrid sniper and no longer long-range sniper. I've noticed less and less people are going for the long-range sniper. Even Iron is doing it less. He's been more aggressive lately, anytime I've checked in on his stream. And so I dropped the long-range and I went right to hybrid, because I do think this is still a valuable sniper to have. It's got way more bullet velocity than the CAR or the Swiss. So the SPR is definitely a good option to run if you want to be able to be more of the passive on the roof style while also being aggressive, because it still has a pretty good ADS speed. It's got better ADS than the Tundra. It's got better bullet velocity than Tundra. And the Tundra's the other sniper that would fit in here, so we go with SPR. And it's the same loadout we've been running with SPR. Monolithic suppressor, SPR 26-inch barrel, tac laser, solo zero, SPR 28mm optic, which is the normal zoom optic. You can do the variable zoom if you'd like, but I don't like variable zoom optics. Then we have the normal round mags, which give you the best bullet velocity for the SPR. And with that, once again, we have the EM2 sniper support build. We have the suppressor, the task force barrel, the microflex LED, which is a must because there's no actual iron sights. Obviously, it has an optic on it. The 40 round mag, the field agent grip. One change you could make is you could drop this task force barrel, give you agency suppressor to help you get back some of that bullet velocity and effective damage range, as well as the recoil control here. Now, you only get vertical recoil control. You don't get horizontal, but it doesn't hurt your horizontal and still helps your bullet velocity and effective damage range. And if you're going to drop that, I would put on either the Serpent or the Elastic Wrap for the best ADS times. The Airborne Elastic is slightly better than the Serpent, but the Serpent has a lot less downsides. So I would drop it for one of those because you're going to have to be able to compete with SMGs, which is why, like I said, you use the suppressor if you want to run the task force barrel, because the suppressor actually helps your ADS. And once again, perks are up to you. Lethal, tactical, kind of up to you. And then with aggressive sniper, this hasn't changed. I've gotten a little more comfortable with the Swiss, but I still just feel best with the CAR in my hands when it's the debate of CAR versus Swiss. And it's the same CAR loadout we've been running for a while now. The monolithic suppressor, the Singard custom 26.6-inch barrel, the tac laser, the sniper scope, Make sure you have the black tie affair sniper scope if you have it unlocked because it's got the thinner bezel. There's 1 or 2 blueprints, I don't remember them off the top of my head, that also have this thinner bezel that you can buy that occasionally come back into the store. But the black tie affair was Season 5 Modern Warfare within the Battle Pass, so you're not going to be able to get that, but if you have it, definitely run that. And then I have the precision comb because then the gun doesn't sway at all and you don't need to hold your breath. But if you don't mind a little bit of sway or holding your breath, you can go for the sport comb for the fastest ADS speed. And with that, you're going to want to run an SMG. You can really run any SMG you're comfortable with. I just recommend the PPSH because it is the second or third best damage drop-off. I can't remember if it's behind or in front of the nerfed nail gun, but it's obviously better than the nail gun because it's you can do attachments on it and you can suppress it. You can run slightly different attachments. You have a bigger mag. But so it's the GRU suppressor, the Task Force barrel, the Tiger Team Spotlight, Bruiser Grip, 55 round drum. You can change it to the 71 round drum, but I find 55 is often enough, especially when this is your aggressive class. So obviously you want an SMG with a little bit of range, preferably like the PPSH or the Milano, but you can run the 71 round drum mag on it. It'll hurt your ADS a little bit, but it's still an SMG, so it still has a fast ADS. But I just run 55 because it's enough, especially if you're truly being aggressive with your sniper. You could also drop either the underbarrel or the Tiger Team Spotlight for a stock if you'd like, and because you're going to be using this possibly at a little bit more of a mid-range, you could drop one for an optic, but I'm okay with the iron sights on it. And then once again, perks, lethal, tactical, all up to you. Then, here's my special class this time, and I just went with a throwback Modern Warfare loadout. Both these guns are still very viable. In fact, with the nerfs over the last couple months in the time to kill for a lot of the Cold War guns, the AMAX has become more viable again. It's actually in the top half of TTK's long range, and it still has a pretty good short range TTK. Its mobility is a little bit slower than the Cold War assault rifles because it is Modern Warfare, but this thing, you can still shred with it. It does feel a little bouncier than most of the Cold War weapons as well, but still an absolute shredder. I know a lot of us are very familiar with it. And it's the typical loadout of the Monolithic Suppressor, the XRK Zodiac S440 barrel, the VLK 3.0 optic, of course with the T-pose reticle, Commando foregrip, and 45 round mag. And then we have the Modern Warfare MP5, still an absolute beast. You're still going to run pretty much the same loadout. It's going to be Monolithic Integral Suppressor. I prefer to ADS, so I like the TAC laser, but if you prefer to hip fire with it, definitely go with the 5mm laser. The Merc foregrip, 45 round mag, and F-Tech collapsible stock. A lot of people, especially because of the nerf and now needing even more bullets, and 45 being the biggest mag, have dropped the stock to go for sleight of hand, which is another option that you can do. It definitely will still shred. It's not as good as it used to be, but you can still definitely kill people with it. And if you just feel like running Modern Warfare guns for nostalgia's sake, definitely go with the AMAX Modern Warfare MP5. Same thing, perks, lethal, tactical, all up to you. And from there, now I said we dropped the sniper class and we added an LMG class. Instead of just having one, I went with the easiest LMG, and then we'll have the best LMG. And the RPD has always been the easy LMG for me to use. You could put the Fin in here because the Fin also has no recoil and happens to have the fastest long range time to kill, but I just don't like the way the Fin feels, and these are my best loadouts. So the Stoner still has a slightly better time to kill if you just mix in one headshot than the RPD, but the RPD with all chest, all stomach, or all limb shots is faster than the Stoner, and the Stoner's recoil was touched as well as its draw speed, so when you switch to the Stoner, it takes a little bit longer to bring it up and use it. It's milliseconds, but it still makes a difference. The RPD, on the other hand, didn't have that effect, and it hasn't really been touched at all, and it still has an extremely close TTK to the Stoner. And like I said, it's better if you're not hitting headshots. And so it's going to be my usual Cold War LMG loadout. It's going to be GRU Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, 3x Optic, Fast Mag, and Spetsnaz Grip. You could change out the Fast Mag for the 120 round. I don't think you should go to 150 because LMGs already have a very slow ADS, and that's going to hurt it even more. It doesn't matter as much with it being long range, but it still does affect the ADS a little bit, and that could still be important, especially if you're aggressively challenging somebody. There isn't really anything else that you can change with this loadout. Since you're going to run it long range, you can't really sacrifice bullet velocity or effective damage range for a rear grip. You could drop a mag since you'll have 75 and do like the Serpent or GRU Elastic just to help with the ADS speed. I know some people do that, but I'd prefer to have the slightly faster reload speed since LMGs are so slow. And that, I paired it with an SMG. I don't really run anymore. But if you want to pair it with an SMG with some range, and I didn't want to keep pairing it with the same SMGs that I use all the time, which is why this isn't the PPSH, the Bullfrog, the OTS, the MP5, or the new LAPA. I ran with the Milano because the Milano does have a lot of range, and we're going for ease of use. The Milano still, even though its recoil was touched, is extremely accurate. Doesn't really move at all, even at range. And so I ran with the Milano. It has the longest range of any SMG. So I went in and chose the Milano for this because it's still very easy to use. It has a decent time to kill still, and it's got the most range. And the iron sights are clean, so I don't feel the need for an optic to even use it at range. Agency Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, Tiger Team Spotlight, Bruiser Grip, 55 round drum. Like I said, you could drop the laser or the underbarrel for your preferred stock, or if you want for a grip or an optic, but this is how I've been running it. I've found more success with increasing the movement just by going Tiger Team and Bruiser Grip instead of a stock on my SMGs. And once again, perks, lethal, tactical, all up to you. Then we go to the best LMG. This gun has started to appear more, especially with the pros. It's the best LMG to me because even though the Fin has the best time to kill of any long-range weapon, it still just lacks in mobility, and I just personally don't like the way it feels. It just is like a larger M13, and I also hate the M13, even though it has a faster time to kill to M13. Plus, in anything past solos and duos, it starts to struggle with ammo because its time to kill comes from its fast fire rate, and that's why it's such a good time to kill, but that also means you're burning through ammo very quickly. So the MG82 has a lot more recoil than any of the LMGs you're going to use, but it's mostly vertical, so you just have to learn to pull down on it, and I've definitely seen a lot of pros running it. And so it's going to be the usual Cold War loadout, Agency Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, 3x Optic, Field Agent foregrip, and then once again I choose the Fast Mag. You can go to the 125 round if you want more, but I wouldn't do anything past that, like I said, with the RPD, because it's going to hurt your ADS speed. And once again, you could drop it, have the base, I believe it's actually a base 100 mag instead of 75, and I would recommend either the Serpent or the Airborne Elastic wrap. I wouldn't recommend going for a stock or a laser. Maybe if you go to a stock, because this thing has such a fast time to kill, even up close, it is okay to run it with a stock for movement or grip for ADS speed, because you could rotate with this into a building and still be okay close range. You're just going to struggle to track with the 3x Optic on. And with that being said about the close range, I chose to not pair it with an SMG that I need range with. The OTS and the Cold War MP5 both kind of fit in this slot. They don't have far damage drop-offs. They have very close damage drop-offs. But because the MG82 has such a good time to kill even up close, it's kind of okay to get caught up close with it as long as you can handle tracking with it 3x or hip firing with it. So it's good to have a close range, fast to kill SMG. And both the Cold War MP5 and the OTS fit in this close range, fast killing SMG that you got to barrel stuff with, but like I said, kills extremely fast. And so here it's just like all the other SMGs. We're running Grew Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, Tiger Team Spotlight, Bruiser Grip, and 40 round Fast Mag. I actually run the Fast Mag on this because the ammo runs out so quickly, and it's only 40 bullets, so I've decided to start running the Fast Mag. It hasn't hurt my ADS that much because it's an SMG. And it's just been working out well for me, especially because I've been pushing a lot more gunfights against multiple opponents at once. And once again, perks, lethal, tactical, all what you prefer. And now we're going to get into the ARs, which is mainly what I run. Here I have the high skill AR. The more I've played, the more I've decided to try to improve myself. I don't find any of the ARs to be too high skill, but the EM2 is definitely still up there in terms of needing to be able to control its recoil. It's a little bouncy left to right, but not too bad, and it's got pretty strong vertical recoil, as well as having a slower fire rate, so when you miss shots, it's not as forgiving as some of the other ARs. But that loadout's going to be typical Cold War AR loadout: Agency Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, Field Agent Grip, 50 round mag, and 3x Optic. You could run the 40 for better ADS because it has so much damage per mag, but I just choose to run the 50, especially playing mostly Rebirth, trios, and quads. I'm usually shooting at more than one person at a time, and I like to have the extra bullets, especially just in case I miss shots, because I'm not super cracked and I'm going to miss shots. And then I have that paired with the LAPA. Now, the reason I have this paired in my high skill loadout is two reasons. One, I run it with the iron sights, and the iron sights are awful and take a lot of getting used to. And two, this thing is very average when you're hitting chest and stomach and limb shots, but it's extremely quick to kill when you're hitting upper chest, neck, and head shots. So it takes a little more skill, especially with the bad iron sights, to only hit this region versus the rest of the body and get that quick time to kill that makes it compete with the MP5 and the OTS. And so that's why I've paired this in my more high skill loadout, just because the target that you need to have it really make it be viable is so small versus other SMGs. And it's going to be Agency Suppressor, Tiger Team Spotlight, Bruiser Grip, and the 50-round mag, which is all typical. And then there's one difference here versus other Cold War SMGs, and that's kind of the barrel situation. There's no task force barrel for it, and there's a couple different options that you could choose, but there's really two that I've gone back and forth between. If you're pushing, barrel stuffing, playing super aggro, I would definitely recommend the rifled barrel because it ups your fire rate, ups your damage range, and gives you a super fast time to kill and gives you a more consistent time to kill across the whole body, which helps bring it into viability with the OTS and the Cold War MP5. Now, if you're a little less aggressive, you're going to be shooting people at more range, or you want to run this as a sniper support, which I definitely think works. I've been able to hit some pretty long range kills with it, even running it with an assault rifle. And that's going to the Ranger barrel. It's going to give you the best effective damage range and the best bullet velocity. It does hurt aim, walking speed, and ADS firing move speed, but it doesn't hurt ADS, it doesn't hurt recoil, and it helps the damage range and the bullet velocity. Without any barrel at all, which you could also run this with in favor of an optic, is the other way you might run it. It has about 11 meter damage drop off, which isn't bad, but it's only a meter longer than the OTS and the MP5. So it's nice to get that if you're not going to be playing as aggro. Now, like I said, you could also drop a barrel and throw on like a microflex LED because the iron sights are so bad, but I've chosen just to have the best statistical weapon that I can have for me and just deal with the iron sights. And once again, lethal, tactical perks, up to you. Then mid-skill AR. I've seen a lot of people using this. People have been using it for a long time. I've seen it rise in popularity, and I also think the XM4 can fit into this slot, but my mid-skill AR is going to be the Cold War AK. It almost is more on the skill range of the EM2, and I think the XM4 is a little bit easier to use, although I think the AK has slightly better recoil than the XM4. It just has a slower fire rate. So it's kind of in between the EM2 and the XM4 for usability for me because the XM4 does have slightly stronger recoil and a faster fire rate. So it's kind of a trade-off here, but I think the XM4 could also fit in here. But the XM4 is going to be your typical Cold War assault rifle loadout, just like the AK is. The AK is Grew Suppressor, Spetsnaz RPK, or Agency and Task Force on the XM4. Spetsnaz Grip or Field Agent Grip on the XM4. 60-round mag and the Axe 3 times. Just like the EM2, this has high damage per mag, so you could switch it to the 45 round. I wouldn't recommend that as much on the XM4, but you can also get away with that on the XM4 as well. And this is just how I would run it. Like I said, you could do something like the 45 to help ADS, but I think this is the best loadout for the AK and the equivalent loadout for the XM4. And I just have that paired with the OTS again. I'm not huge on a lot of the SMGs. I mostly have been running the OTS, the MP5, and now the LAPA. But there's only the Bullfrog and the Bullfrog and the PPSH that I really run otherwise. I don't run the Mac, I don't run the Milano, and I don't really run any of the Modern Warfare SMGs. So I paired it with the OTS again. We saw that OTS build just a second ago. And perks, lethal, tactical, all up to you once again. Then we go to easiest AR. This has been the easiest AR for me since even before the double Krig nerf, because this had a better overall TTK than the Krig. And once again, they added a little tiny bit of recoil to it, but it's not very strong, and it's all vertical. So just barely pull down. It has less recoil than like any other AR, and so I still have the QBZ as my easiest to use AR. And it's a typical build: Agency Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, Field Agent Grip, 3 times optic, and the biggest mag, which happens to be the 60-round drum here. And because we're going for ease of use, I paired it with the Bullfrog, which is arguably the easiest to use SMG. It's got almost no recoil. It's got good damage drop off. It's got good mobility. It has a 50-round mag base if you want to use the base mag, and it's just an easy-to-use SMG. So I have that Grew Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, Tiger Team Spotlight, Bruiser Grip, and I put on the 65-round mag, especially if you play solos, duos, maybe trios, or if you just want to rely on movement stuff, you can drop the 65 and go for a mag, and then I would do something like your favorite stock or your preferred rear grip, you know, either the Serpent or the Grew here, or the Spetsnaz PKM stock, or the KGB skeletal stock if you want to drop the mag and just use a 50-round mag. And once again, perks, lethal, tactical, all up to you. And the best AR, I continue to have it as my best AR. It's the Farah. I mean, the Farah is a little bit slow on the reload, a little bit slow on the ADS, but it has an extremely good time to kill. It's better than the QBZ. It's competitive with the AK, the XM4, the EM2, and I think it beats at least the XM4 long range, and I think the AK. I think the EM2 just edges it out, but it's all right in that range with less recoil than all 3 of those guns, and I still think the Farah is the best AR in the game, and it absolutely shreds. It's going to be typical Grew Suppressor, Spetsnaz RPK barrel, Spetsnaz grip, 60-round mag 3 times. And just like the AK, the XM4, the EM2, you could drop it down to the 45 mag just for the better ADS, but I do run it at 60 since it's my primary long range, and I'm not as concerned with ADS, and I want the 15 extra bullets. Then I pair it with maybe my favorite SMG. Like I said, it goes between this and the OTS for my favorite SMG. The LAPA is kind of sneaking in there. I still love the PPSH and the Bullfrog, but I just had the most success with the Cold War MP5. Maybe the OTS is at its level now for me, but I just love the Cold War MP5. So I have Agency Suppressor, Tiger Team Spotlight, 50-round drum, Bruiser Grip, and I decided to drop the barrel. I thought about it with the OTS as well because they have similar damage drop-offs, and the Task Force helps on a percentage basis the same way no matter which SMG you're using. It's about 10%. So it's debatable, and I've dropped it for a stock. I may end up doing the same thing with the OTS. You could also drop it for a rear grip or an optic if you're like, sorry, I have something in my eye. But this is how I build the Cold War MP5. It's the same way I've been building it. Agent Suppressor, Tiger Team Spotlight, Raider Stock, Bruiser Grip, 50-round drum mag. You could like I said, you could consider doing the 50-round fast mag for the same reasons you do on the OTS. This has more ammo. This has 10 more ammo on it, so it's not as much of an issue, but it does tend to run out of ammo fast, especially if you're being aggressive with it like I do. But I find that 10 extra bullets over the OTS is enough to not run the fast mag for me, so I don't run the fast mag. And then once again, perks, lethal, tactical, all up to you. But with all that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more. Let me know down below what your favorite loadout is, what you think of my loadouts, what you would change on mine, what you like, don't like. Let me know your thoughts down below. If this video was helpful for you, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Sorry, I already said that. I will have my social medias linked down below, so please feel free to visit those. But I'll see you in Verdansk on a Rebirth Island. Get frying. Have a good day. Bye.